This
Okay, so
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, if you could call the roll.
Okay. Chair Hildebrand. Vice Chair Arnold.
Present.
Councillor Ortefeusen.
Here.
And Councillor Corn.
Here.
Number 4.
Okay, if I could get a motion to approve the agenda and minutes if preferred.
Well, both of them at the same time.
Some people do.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented and also approve the minutes of the meeting of Tuesday, September the 5th of 2023.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, non-action items. Let's go ahead and do department reports. Madam Clerk?
Good afternoon. I don't know if you guys have met, we have a new person up front. We're completely staffed. Her name is Nicole Montes. We're excited to have her and we're good with that. Payroll staff minutes, agendas, resolutions. We're at 116 IFRA requests so far for the fiscal year. And then Belle and I will be attending clerk school in October. And then we've done some IFRA trainings. And then Chad, Mike, myself, and Juanita, we attended the 66th annual conference in Farmington.
Nice. Ms. Renee?
Hi, good afternoon, members of the committee. So I have here with me our new HR supervisor named Tara Painter. She's been with us about a month, so she's getting our feet wet, which we're excited to have her on. Last week we celebrated Here Week, where our city manager gave out pins for years of service, so we celebrated our 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 year service, and then we had 140 year. Next month, in October 11th, we'll be having our benefits fair. We haven't had one since COVID, so we hope to bring in Arissa, Voya, Para to kind of get caught up with our employees.
Open enrollment.
Open enrollment, yes.
Okay.
So next time for any questions.
I actually had a couple. I had a statement and a question on this. I'd had a couple people asking about it, so I was very excited to hear that you guys did that, and astounded to see that we had 47 at 5 years.
Yes.
That's awesome. It's a good sign. Let's stretch that to 10. My next question was for you, city manager. As far as the benefits, has there actually been any discussion on expanding those or looking at some other items to add to that?
There's been quite a bit of discussion about that. So one of the things we've found out is the state has changed some of its benefit options. A lot of those are online now, available to our employees. We just need to put them in front of it. So whether it's a 529 college tuition savings where, you know, if you're a young person and you've got little kids and you want to start putting aside a little bit out of your paycheck every month, it's a great way to fund a kid's education. I got one that's a junior in college right now, and that's how we did it. You're talking about annuity plan, deferred compensation plan. So you can have that withdrawn or deducted from your check before taxes, so you're not being taxed on that level of income. And it goes into, you can set it up as an annuity. Annuities are good right now. Interest rates are high. That's another great option for our employees. Or you can set up in a stock plan similar to a 401k in the private sector. The other nice thing about those deferred compensation plans is you can buy years of service, or in Para's case, airtime, what they call airtime, with those funds by rolling them over directly. You'd want to have a CPA do that for you. Beauty of that is, again, pre-tax, you're not getting taxed on that income. If you roll it in to buy a year of service or however airtime here with Para, you're doing it right. There's no tax consequences at all. So essentially, you're never taxed on that money. If it gets you to retirement a year earlier, that's an option. But also, it acts as a supplemental to your retirement. So that and the insurance benefits that already exist, it's exciting.
Is that where you've already started implementing that for this year?
So that'll be the open enrollment.
Okay.
Trio's talking about in October. We're going to have that. Would highly encourage our people to get down there, see what options are available, learn about these things, sign up for the stuff you want. One of the things I always saw with the school district with insurance providers coming in is you had to be really careful. Some of these folks want to sell a product at all costs. Now, if you're a custodian or somebody on a lower salary schedule, some of these benefits you don't need. You don't need the aggressive sales tactics, all of those things that come into play. We're not going to have any of that at this open enrollment. Really, it's just, here are the benefits that are available to you, and here's what they are.
Nice. Okay, very
So
good.
it's exciting.
It is exciting.
Safety?
Can I ask you a
Yeah.
question?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Is this event going to take place during working hours, or is it going to be after working hours, or are the employees going to be able to come in and participate?
Yes, sir. As far as I'm concerned, this is a work-related function, and it would be during working hours in the afternoon. I
9
think.
to 2 on October 11th.
Yeah.
And we would encourage our supervisors to let their employees off.
Rotate them through. Yeah, so it's not a strain, but yeah.
That's very exciting to hear. All right. Hello.
Councilman, City Manager, sir. Our safety report, we did have 41 incidences. Sorry.
Mr. Attorney.
Oh, great one.
Oh, that's deeper.
All right, we did have 41 incidences last month. That is up from the numbers we've had before. We had people calling in and filing reports that didn't have anything to do with the city. So I did want to bring that up. We had about half of the motor vehicle incidences were caused by third party. I also want to let you know that the column of third party under the incident, that did not add right. We had a total of 27 third party caused incidents out of the 41. And then we did receive paperwork trying to include the city that had, they were not in the city. It did not include our police department. It did not include our city buses. It did not include any of our personnel. And again, it was outside of the city. And so even though we received that as an incident, it was not city included. All right,
Any questions? Oh, sorry, was that it?
that's it.
Thank you so much. Very good. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to regular items. Here, you ready? Okay.
Counselors and city manager, this is to consider recommending SIDA Information Network Computing USA to enter into a one-year lease agreement with 4 one-year options to renew for office space located in Building 1, which is our terminal. It's the second floor, small corner consisting of 60 square feet, more or less, being used for the purpose of operating radio and IT equipment for the airline. So the tenant has agreed to pay the landlord as rent the sum of $1,400.96, payable in 12 monthly installments of $124.58 for the first year of the lease, and then each year will renew with 3% or the latest CPIU, whichever is greater. They're currently paying $24.92 per square foot, so it's a good price for our little office upstairs in the terminal. I'll stand for questions.
Any questions? This is off topic. City attorney, can you actually advise me, considering this is okay, I couldn't tell.
Sorry.
That's okay. Considering that this is one item, can it be one vote, or do we have to vote on each item? I mean, consider it's all together.
It's kind of up to you on this one because Robert's rules is binding in
Okay.
committees. So
Oh, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and we're just gonna go through, are you guys okay with that? Do you mind, instead of voting on each one?
No, that's fine.
Okay, all right, wonderful. So if you'll move to the next slide, please.
This is to consider recommending Larry Parker to enter into a one-year lease for a T hangar, T hangar 120 space 2, He's asking to be in for 1 year with the square footage footprint of 1,002 square feet, more or less. That for maintaining and storing a privately owned aircraft, the tenant agrees to pay the landlord as rent the sum of $2,580.15 annually, payable in 12 monthly installments of $215. This is a $2.57 per square foot, utilizing the 3% increase annually. It does include utilities and maintenance.
Are there utilities in this T hair?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
What utilities?
electrical and water.
Oh, this is the one that's got the water in it. Okay. I'm looking to see where that one is. That's all.
Okay.
Oh,
Councilman Oropesa, you have any questions? Okay.
All right, move on to the next slide, please. This is to consider recommending Daniel's Welding Services to enter into a 1-year lease agreement for Building 81 and surrounding land located on the land side of the Roswell Center. Daniel Welding Service is, the building is consisting of 1,462 square feet, more or less, with the surrounding land consisting of 16,404 square feet. This will begin October 1st of 2023 and end in September of 2024 for the purpose of operating a welding shop. The tenant agrees to pay the landlord as rent the sum of $3,388.25, payable in 12 monthly installments of $282.35 for building number 81 and $1,689.61, payable in 12 monthly installments of $140.80 for the fenced area around the building. The building per square foot is $2.32. And the land per square foot is 10 cents per square foot. It increased by 3% because this is an existing tenant, and the 10 cents did increase because 3% is not enough to make that move up yet. So I will stand for any questions.
John? No? Okay.
We'll move on to the next.
Do you need a drink first?
What's that?
Do you need a drink?
No, I'm good. I can get it. I'm good. This is for considering a recommendation to Cleanup Enterprises to enter a 1-year lease for building 67, consisting of 978 square feet, more or less, starting on November 1st and ending October 31st of next year. The tenant agrees to pay the landlord as rent the sum of $2,266.58, payable in 12 monthly installments of $188.88. This is a $2.32 per square foot lease. They are an existing tenant, so this is a 3% increase, and I will stand for question.
Cute little building. Mr. Oropesa?
I'm good.
You, sir? Councilman Corn? No questions? Okay. All right. E?
I think it's the last one, isn't it? Yes. This is for Ascent Aviation, as requesting for another 1-year lease for building 117. This is a 5,000 square foot building, more or less, located at the Roswell Air Center. This is on the land side, commencing November 1st, 2023, and ending October of next year, at the end of October. This is for the purpose of operating their carpentry and shipping center that are incidental to their MRO activities. The tenant agrees to pay the landlord as the rent sum, $23,175 and no cents, payable in 12 monthly installments of $1,931.25. This is a $4.63 per square foot building. It has increased by 3% because they are an existing tenant. The inside of this building is completely sheetrocked. It has a brand new overhead heating system in it, has a swamp cooler in it, and we've converted the lights all to LED. So the tenant is very happy with the situation that they are in, and I will stand for questions.
Oh. Okay. So, but, all right. At this point, before we actually, because that's all of those, before we actually vote, is there any of these items that you guys have concern with, or they're all bolted in together? So
No, I don't.
you ready for a motion?
I'm ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we send to consent agenda all the items in 2, including A, lease agreement with SITA Information Network Computing USA B, RAC lease agreement with Larry Parker. C, RAC lease agreement Daniels Welding Service. D, RAC lease agreements to Clean Up Enterprises. And E, RAC lease agreements of Cent Aviation Services Roswell.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, go to item number 3, the RFP 24-006, scope of work for advertising, media, buying services. Hello, Ms. Juanita.
Hello. This is a request to consider the scope of work for RFP 24-006. Our current contract will expire in June of 2024. The RFPs will be written with an estimated budget allowance of $335,000. We are required by state statute to spend at least 40% of what we collect in lodger's tax on advertising. Currently, looking at where we're at about 1.3 million. So the advertising budget should be around 520,000. So this would be a portion of that. The scope of work written and the schedule, I went off of what we had the last time. Schedule depends on if it goes through committee, if it passes. In the previous one, we had a mandatory meeting. I noticed it said 9:30. Not sure if that's something that's required that we have to have. If we don't, we can take that out. Project overview, I included some additional language that would include city department campaigns, more of community rather than tourism, just based on some conversation that I received from Mr. Cole. Each of the projects would have the scope of works developed as far as good partnership, great media buying for the city. Our current contract, we have a 75% for media placement required on the budget and only 25% that is allotted to the agency. I would look to Mr. Cole to negotiate something good like that with whoever we pick, whether we retain or get a new one. In there, I gave just a little bit of background of what we've had in the past and some minimum requirements for the proposal. Of course, we want them to be familiar with the New Mexico Tourism Department and their co-op programs, part of the New Mexico Hospitality Association, experience, some references, and then the financial information is, I believe, what we require for everybody. The last piece for this scope is the criteria of what the evaluation committee will look at. It includes their company experience, personnel, creativity, their familiarity with the city of Roswell and the tourism industry, their philosophy and approach to how they do their account planning and invoicing and billing. That's really important when we look at media buying. And then, of course, their budget and cost effectiveness. An interview, in the past, we've done some interviews. We've had community members that are in the marketing field be a part of that. Councilor Halverson was on our last one. And then, of course, the mandatory forms that are required by our procurement officer. And I will stand for any questions.
I have one. This, what's the name of the company? 3 Advertising? So where are they located?
In Albuquerque.
All right, any questions?
Yes, on the amendment that was presented to us, I'm assuming it's a clerical error.
That is for the next one. But yes.
The next
Item.
item, oh, never mind.
That's all right.
Never mind.
Councilman Corn, any questions? No, okay. All right, so I'll take a motion.
Okay, I'll make the motion that we send to full council on consent agenda. RFP 24-006, scope of work for advertising / media buying services. Recommend approval.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, So I guess you're the next one.
All right, yes.
Number 4.
This is a housekeeping item, so RFP 20002, which is our current advertising contract. I'm asking for an amendment for the Air Center Marketing Services grant that we received specific to Fly Roswell and the purchase order because it's over 60,000. So in your packet, you'll see that 75,000 plus 100,000 will be on actual media price. The other percent is we would like to see in this new campaign. It is grant funded and it is currently budgeted. Legal will provide that sheet that is a typo to just say, we're going to grant your contract to go with the current contract amount that would include the 100,000. And I'll stand for any questions and we can provide some insight. One of the focal points of this campaign will be more regional attractions specific to Dallas that we talked about. We will be targeting and promoting that we are another alternative option for the Southeast region from some of our other community partners. And we'll have a digital component and a little bit of outdoor as well.
So again, I go to the contract, the language. It states to renew this contract for an additional term of 1 year until June 30th, 2023. Okay, I just want to make sure that. Okay.
Councilman Corn?
I'm looking,
Okay,
I'm not yielding, I'm looking.
got it.
Okay, so it's a 50-50 match with the city of Roswell and the state. Okay. Good.
I'll take a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we send to full council on consent agenda again. The recommending approval for RFP 20-002 advertising and marketing service or to amend, I guess. And, to amend the 3A advertising agreement for an additional 100,000 for a contract total of 335 for fiscal year 24 with the additional 100,000 dedicated to and from the Air Services Marketing Grant Agreement, as well as approve the purchase order for this should this item pass.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Number 5.
I bring forward again the IPRA fee schedule that you all have seen a couple months ago. I know you all had asked if you talked to different municipalities to see what their fee schedule is like. We will ask this. So I did make a change on this one after discussion in the last meeting. Instead of putting actual costs, I did do a dollar amount for the records transmitted electronically. Did $3.75 for every 15 minutes. That was the only change that I had made from the last one to do. An 8.5 by 11 is 50 cents per page, which we currently do now. 11 by 17 is $1 a page. Anything larger would be $5 a page, and those are usually for maps and things of that nature. And then for a flash drive is $10. That flash drive out, we charge $10 extra as well. And so currently, for 2023, we have 426 IPRAs and 461 being electronic requests. So the gray represents the IPRAs actually being paid. The blue is how many are electronic, and the green is the current as of today. And go to the next page. And then what we've just passed out is what other municipalities are doing. So the city of Clovis charges 25 cents per page.
for copies, $5 for a jump drive or CD. And they just started doing their hourly rate for individual to download information. And this is kind of what I'm asking for. They just started doing it. They did, I spoke with the clerk there, and they charge by whoever is doing the records, their hourly rate. So they keep track of it the same way we're watching to. And go to the next one. And then so the city of Albuquerque, I kind of just highlighted the main points. They charge 50 cents per page. And they also charge for jump drive, CD, $6.75. And it does state in their IPRA schedule that they could charge for time. But after talking to the clerk there, he has not yet charged. But they do have that in their schedule. And go to the next one. So the city of Las Cruces currently does photocopies at $1 a page, CDs for $5, and then the different gigs of USB drives from $10, $13, $16, or $22. Next one. The Farmington does 50 cents a page, and they also provide flash drives if required. And the next one, and City of Rio Rancho, electronic, they don't charge. Hard copies, 25 cents a page, CDs, DVDs, $5 a disc. And they do state that they are allowed to charge actual costs for materials, and I would assume that USB drives, but after talking to the clerk there as well, they have not charged electronic. So right now, from the ones that I have researched, only the city of Clovis is. Any time for any questions? Councilman Cohen, any questions? No? Okay. Then I will pick them up. All right.
Madam Chairman.
Sorry, do you mind if I ask a question, Council?
Yeah.
For electronic copies, if people are requesting it out of state, how would you charge?
Currently, we are in the process of getting a software for IPRAs. We had talked with finance about it, and in that software, you're able to, if it's by email, charge directly, make the payment through the software. Everything is done within the software. Nice. That is good. It's really good. That's what I'm really excited.
Yeah, it'll make it a lot easier, won't it?
Do you calculate hourly rates into the electronic transfer as well?
If we get approval for this, we will start. Currently, we do not. And you'll see the software request next month.
We are in the process of having IT review the software and then get permission from them, and then legal is going to review the contract or the agreement. We're just in the first stages of that.
Nice.
Madam Chair, I move we move to the full city council resolution 23XX IPRA. Do we have another question?
We did.
So we were just wondering, when we're IPRA or we're the ones that are having to gather the data, would we need to be tracking our time that it's taking us to gather that information?
No.
Okay.
No, it'll just be us within the clerk's office.
Okay. Thank you.
Apologies.
You sure you're ready?
I'm ready now.
You're absolutely.
Well, it's not like it was this.
I like picking on her and I can pick on her through you. Okay, so let's move resolution, item number 5 on the agenda, resolution 23XX, IPRA, New Mexico Public Records Act to the full city council.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Give me 1 second. So number 6, ordinance 23XX, amending chapter 2 of the Roswell City Code related to elected officer salaries. I believe this is you, correct?
Yep, I just, at Councilor Corn's request, I drafted a resolution or an ordinance. So just for some housekeeping, by state constitution, although it says effects in 5 days, this would not take effect if passed by the council until January 1 because it amends elected official salaries. In any event, simply put, it says that if any elected officer is in arrears to the city over 60 days, the treasurer shall be informed and the deduction will be made from their salary so that ideally no public official, no elected official is ever indebted to the city for which they're making decisions. And that's it from legal perspective.
We talk about being transparent. This is one way of saying that we're going to be transparent. And you've got to be accountable. I'm not pointing my fingers at any individual or individuals. I just think this is a way to step up and say, we mean it when we say we're transparent. And we've got a $1.4 million uncollectible at this point in arrear bills to the city of Roswell, just in the water and the trash. And I just don't want any of our names showing up on this deal. This is a way to take care of business.
I just have one question. Does this mean that if a counselor, for whatever reason, is in debt to the city, that counselor will not get a paycheck at all until that, whatever debt is paid off? Or is it?
It would just be whatever the debt is.
Yeah.
So if I were a counselor and I hadn't paid, well, let's say I rented a facility, I rented the pool out and I hadn't paid for 2 months. The pool director would inform the treasurer, who would just deduct what I owe the pool from my check every 2 weeks.
But let's say that the amount is a lot more than what the counselor gets. Let's say, just for the benefit of discussion of, let's say one counselor owes $1,000. Of course, we only get like 200 every pay period.
Right. Yeah, I did look into it and there's only a couple of, based on average water bills, we're looking at less. So it'd be difficult to do it with a water bill. It would be impossible to do it with sanitation because that's tied to water. You could do it by renting the pool and you could do it by renting the golf course. Otherwise, it'd have to be a series of, it's actually kind of hard to get into with the city if you, in that, a sum that big. If that makes part of the idea here is that this would catch any sum before it became so big.
Okay.
Quick question. I don't know how much research you did, but over the history of our city, how often has this been a problem?
I did not research that, so I couldn't answer.
So what's the basis of writing a law on this? I don't understand the purpose. There isn't really a problem.
Like in this particular one, legal was asked to write an otherwise legally sufficient ordinance, and any counselor who asks for one gets it delivered.
Just if you talk about transparency, and we all do, this is just being transparent. And this is putting us, elected officials, up front, and we mean it. That's what this really does. It says, we're going to be totally transparent, period. And this is just a way of illustrating that to our shareholders. That we're serious about this.
Ooh. This is a hard direction. This is the boomerang. But,
If it hadn't been a problem, then nothing to worry about, right?
well, I'm also kind of the mindset that I'm not a big fan of writing law just to write law. So, But it is just to advertise at this point. So, any further questions? Got any questions? Anyone else in the room have?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
The city's in arrears, or the public is in arrears to the city. That's a substantial amount. Does the city recover any interest? Because at $1.4 million, current interest rates are 6+%. We're starting to talk money.
Yeah.
And if somebody rides you, for a couple of years or whatever, for all these, the 1.4 million, and what kind of, that could be a lot of money, but what kind of process do you have to collect the money? Because there should be some way to cover your money, because I'm paying for it. If you're not, I'm probably paying for your debt. And the Joe Sixpack didn't have to pay for somebody else's. That's a little off base, but there should be some kind of penalty. And if there's an incentive, if you get charged interest to pay it off. Because if there's no interest charge, they can let it accrue forever.
So at this point, I do know that, I believe it was in infrastructure that we actually did, there was presented a collection, and I think that passed full council. I don't know, I do have a question. Is there interest accrued on that as well?
So I'm not sure. Janie, can you?
Accrued on what?
Accrued on the amount that's overdue?
From the customers, we don't charge interest on
And
that.
we cannot.
We do have a collections agency.
We have the collection agency in place, and we're implementing a soft credit check. And that will determine what kind of deposit they have to make, because if they're not good payers, then we'll charge them probably 3 months of deposit.
And to further answer your question, when I first started getting involved in this debt that's owed the city primarily for water, wastewater, trash, that kind of stuff, it was like over 1.6. And since we started turning off meters again, because we were prohibited, if my understanding is correct, by the federal law. And keep in mind that as of December of 21, Janie, December 21, when we zeroed,
Yes.
we used some of the federal funds that were sent down during COVID and zeroed everybody. Everybody was zeroed. And we've since then built up a balance again of collectibles, over 1.6. And the last number that we looked at, it was down to 1.4. So we're making some progress. Not fast enough for me, probably not fast enough for you, but we are making some progress.
Well, and I would also say that since we came out of COVID and we started enforcing the collection and everything, if they don't pay their bill, then their meter's normally pulled, and then they get to go visit with Judge Sesky. And he's been putting them on payment plans or putting some of them in jail, so.
And then I guess I'll top that off. Mr. Mayor Emeritus, is that what we should? Oh, yeah, Mr. Mayor Emeritus. It's not, so the state law provides for very specific remedies that we can do with the water utility. I'm not fully convinced that we could actually charge interests. What we can do is reasonable deposit. If actually the municipal law already requires, if your water shut down, you must provide a deposit and also the reconnection fee. So that's kind of how we could capture some money back.
And those are things you can't waive.
Actually, state law says, well, city law says you shall charge a deposit if somebody's water's been turned off.
So to answer your question, yes, we can't wait.
Shall.
Yep. So the
There should be some kind of incentive to encourage utility users to be prompt in payment.
Yeah.
Because everybody else charges, and it's just a way to do a good business.
And
let them get way in arrears, doesn't do them any good. And as I understand the water bill, when they put the new meter system in, they were to
provide automatic increases annually. And the previous administration failed to timely implement those. And the public should know how much money that is and what a problem it's caused the city because we don't have adequate reserves to do the water system.
Which problem?
But a work in progress. I think
Well,
you guys are
this
hitting it pretty good.
This is just a
You're working.
early stab at what we say.
Progress.
Councilman Oropesa, did you have another question or you?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, good news, guys. I'm going to call for a motion. It's 2:41.
Well, he has to leave at 2:30, so.
You're late.
Hurry.
Did I say that?
No, you said.
3:14 on the dot.
Okay, Madam Chair, I move to recommend authorization to advertise for a public hearing for ordinance 23XX amending chapter 2 of the Roswell City Code related to elected officer salaries.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those against? Aye. All right, so any public, let's see, Chair, I wrote over my notes here. Chair comments, reports, announcements, anything that we need to announce?
It's not on the agenda, but there is a couple legal issues I wouldn't mind briefing you on if you have time for a quick closed session.
It's going to go at 4:14. Can you do it before then?
It'll be a 5-minute closed session.
Thank you.
Okay, give me 1 second. All right, so you're wanting us to go into closed session? I do the public participation first?
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's actually do public participation. Is there anyone online or anyone in the public that would like to make a comment?
I'd like to make a comment regarding IPRA or Inspection of Public Records Act.
Yes.
Request. I did one recently and I was looking to see if the property had been received citations from the Code Enforcement Department. And I did a request and it came back that they said that there was no citations or reprimands or anything. And I find that hard to believe. And so it would help me as a John Public to be able to know exactly if I want an IPRA request, do I have to give it to the municipal court to see if they've had a citation there? Do I have to go to the police department? Do I have to go to the city? Does the city include all the departments or what departments are excluded so the public knows exactly how to comply? Also, one of the questions that I asked, also regarding a code enforcement issue, was records on all communications with the property. And I asked specifically for telecommunications. And the response was, well, the employee, because I had conversations, and I'll be right up front with the Kevin Neighbors, and I had text communications. And it came back that he said that he didn't have any communications on this property. And I know for a fact that he did. And the state law, there's a court case, Los Alamos City and County somebody versus Los Alamos City and County. And the state court said that all communications, whether it's a private phone or a city-owned phone or it's a private phone, if they're using it for public business, are discoverable. And, their computer is also discoverable. And prior to COVID, the Attorney General, Edgar Valderas, also put a notification to all governments that all telephonic and computer communications when people were going to work from home were discoverable and they had to keep records. Apparently, this did not happen. You know, I could probably force the issue, but, you know, I think the city should be proactive in trying to get the telephonic communications. Because, you know, I mean, I actually had to sue the city to get a resolution regarding this property. It was hard for me to prepare for litigation when I couldn't get the community records that are required by statute. So I'm just telling you that so that you can change whatever, you don't have to change anything, but I think we should be proactive in our community, make sure that people have access to public records.
Mr. Eisner, any thoughts on that?
I think he's accurate. That is the law. The underlying issue is that it's kind of hard to, so upper level or management level employees get a city phone or they accept the risk. Now there's the distinction I'd make is, so first, it's difficult to get lower level employees who might be office gossip, for example. That's still iterable. And we encourage all employees to not text about anything city related while they're at work. If they're doing it after work, it's a little different. The second component is retention. So state law doesn't require text to be retained. So my actual legal advice to anybody texting with city equipment or on their own phone, use anything I do, is at the end of every day, I delete any city, partly because I'm a lawyer too, and I want to keep confidentiality. But every text message I get from a city employee or officer is deleted at the end of the day. So that could explain why the records don't exist. It's also possible that the individual simply lied. And if that was the case, the litigation would uncover that. So yeah, that's kind of the problem with modern technology. It puts the city in a liability position, unfortunately.
So let me ask this question, because you can go to the carrier and actually request those documents. Once an item is actually deleted, is it permanently deleted, or will they actually have a record of all texts?
That depends on the carrier and the amount of time. Often, so when it comes to like subpoenas, we'll often have a hard, I'm trying to, certain carriers can carry it past 90 days, I think is kind of the default because it's just a ton of data for them to store. So we'll subpoena it sometimes and they'll come back with nothing. Other times we'll get things back. The question, and that hasn't been addressed by the case law, is what level of diligence is required to search for items that are not required to be preserved and are otherwise deleted. The analog example would be, you can actually, if you shred something, you could still put it back together. There's FBI specialists who do this, but IPRA never has required that for a destroyed document. Right? If I throw this packet away, it's still a public record. Do I have to go search the dump because the city owns the dump? The courts would probably say no to that. So it would be a question of first impression in the courts.
And I would have advised the city of Los Alamos had to pay $45,000. For penalty for not finding the records. So probably behooves the city to make sure that they're complying with the law.
Oh yeah, Albuquerque, what was it? JAL got hit with a $245,000 penalty, which is quite a fee for them.
What did you say, JAL?
JAL.
Yeah.
Albuquerque paid out over $300K to a quasi neo-Nazi group for that.
They paid like $1 million to New Mexico to Albuquerque JAL.
Yeah, that was the AG case. Yeah, not to mention attorney's fees.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Attorneys should be paid.
That's what you took from that.
Yeah, it's an important part of case law.
Madam Chair, anymore, you see the level that Della talked about, the level of IPRA requests that we're getting, and of course, moving into the 21st century with some IPRA specific software to help the city. It's become quite a burden. And we all agree, and talking to legal and other folks, we want to be transparent. that's important. But there is a burden,
Well,
the technology as well.
and my personal belief is that if you're transparent, then you don't have to worry about so many info requests.
Exactly.
Because people don't trust what you say, then they get the hard documents, whatever it may be. And they may not ask the right question, which is also another issue. You know, people ask a question, I want to know about the legal meeting. And so what are we going to do? We're going to send them a packet. So here it is. And then whenever we have them, we'll send you the minutes as soon as we get them done. But that may not be exactly what they wanted because they didn't work the question correctly. And that causes another info request and another. People are serious, but they don't do enough homework to put their document together sufficiently that you can find out what they're really trying to get to. I've seen a lot of those too.
Tonight, I have one other thing regarding info requests. If it was easier to be able to pinpoint what the documents you need, rather than being very general. I mean, if you're going on a fishing expedition, you can target what you're trying to get, probably save the city a ton of money for having to do every department for info. Pretty cumbersome.
Madam Clerk?
Yes.
And so what Donna and I kind of implemented in our office is we're going to the different departments to have an understanding of what records or what the departments handle. And if we get a response that says we have no records responsive to this request, we're going to figure out why you have no records. We don't have a total concept of how all the departments are ran. So we're making it a point to visit these departments, get an idea of what they do. When they ask for requests at code enforcement and they don't have anything, we want to know why. I mean, why do you not have them? I know it's too difficult to create these reports. I know I'm sorry, but I need you to create those reports. So that's one step we've tried to do is go out to the departments and try to learn what they're doing when they don't have records. We want to know why, specifically why. Yeah.
So the request goes to code enforcement and then from code enforcement to you?
No, the request comes to our office and then we determine or we try to figure out. Sometimes the reports are really vague, so we could miss a department until we get digging into what the request is.
So working real closely with the requester kind of eliminates,
Yes.
because I know it's very cumbersome for all departments. That when you walk in and say, I got an info request, they're like, oh man. And I mean, seriously. So having a good understanding of what the request is when you go out after it is essential to getting the information. Without making it cumbersome to all the employees and also getting good information back to the requester.
If the requester was just transparent and just tell us exactly what you want. We can't read your mind and we can't figure out. So we grasp at straws and we still do grab it. So.
I think just documentation and logging, I'm always a big fan of just making sure that it doesn't, no, I mean, sometimes people don't want to put things down, but sometimes that will be a good CYA. Yeah. Okay, so.
Well, I got one more comment.
All right.
And inspection of public documents, that's the building where Roswell Do-It Center is. Roswell Do-It Center was a special use provided by the city, special use provision. When they did that, the city required that property to be landscaped. They had a whole list of stuff that it required. When I inquired about that list, because it does not, currently it doesn't comply with the city landscape ordinance. And when I asked for that document where they agreed to allow this property to have a special use, well, the city said, well, we can't find it. So the retention of public records, that ball may be being dropped. Because if you don't have those records, who knows? And, I just say, that property is on Main Street. It's a big, and it's an eyesore when they have weeds and trash. no landscape. You know, we try to encourage, keep Roswell beautiful, but the city code enforcement is atrocious, you know, because they don't enforce anything. I just did one at 112 South Penn across, or 112 South Kentucky across from my office. And they don't have any records of me ever calling. I've been calling for 3 years because I'm going over there and cleaning up the property. I've been doing it for 3 years. And they say, well, code enforcement doesn't have anything. And I'm going, it's not accurate. Something's going on there that code enforcement, drive by there today and look at the property, 112 South Kentucky. The weeds are high. You know, the last time it was cleaned was when I did it, or my workers did. And code enforcement needs some special attention because the city, it's trashed out. And it's bothersome because we talk about a quality of life, but trying to get doctors here and then their family comes here and see the state condition of the city, they're not gonna come here. We're professionals or anybody, you know, we need business here, we need jobs.
Well, yeah, I actually wouldn't disagree with you on some notes, but I actually do believe that there is kind of a lot of people noting what you're saying. And I'm sure Mr. Cole here is actually hearing you. Yes, okay, very good. But yes, points taken. Anyone else or? So, go ahead. Mr. Arntema, if you could advise me how to take us out into closed.
Sure. I'll speak the motion if that works for you, Counselor. The Chairwoman, pursuant to 10-15-1H, the committee moves to go into closed session to discuss attorney-client privilege or pending litigation of the public body.
Madam Chair, I move that we move into executive session for the guidelines of the state rule. Paula, excuse me.
Second.
And then it's a roll call vote.
Okay. Vice Chair Arnold?
Yes.
Counselor Orpissa?
Yes.
And Counselor Twine?
Yes.
You guys just want to go across the way?
Yep.
Okay, Janie?
I have to bring them back in because we didn't have.
I had a dream last night.
This conference will now be recorded.
Madam Chairman, pursuant to state statute, we are concluded with our executive session. No votes were taken, no decisions were made. It's informational only. I think that we need to be called back into session.
Okay. I did a roll call again?
No.
No. Do motion or anything?
You got a roll call back.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
He did just do the motion. We need a second.
Second.
Okay. Call the roll?
Yes. So, Madam Vice Chair Arnold?
Yes.
Counselor Orpissa?
Yes.
Counselor Corn?
Yes.
For the record, I attest that we only discussed attorney-client privilege matters in the closed session.
All those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Was that an adjournment?
This is now an adjournment. It is 3:09 and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank God.
Yeah.